Nintendo held 2 events today. Silksong wasn't shown, everything else looks fine. C+. Wait, you want more than that? Alright, fine. Look, I'm as big a Nintendo fan as anyone, and even I have to say that I'm pretty ready for the Switch 2 at this point. I was reminded of this throughout today's dual event stream from Nintendo, an indie world followed by a partner direct. It's not that the games revealed or discussed were bad or anything, but every time we get a new event featuring games that are headed for the Switch without knowing what the future of these games will be, I do become a little more cynical. It's not the far future either. Nintendo has said we'll be seeing the Switch successor reveal by March of next year. My money is on the reveal being this fall, with the release coming next spring. Even if we don't see the Switch 2 until next winter near the holidays, that's only a year and change away. Why are we getting Switch announcements when we don't even know if we'll be able to play these games on whatever comes next? Of course, the answer to that is that the Switch is almost certainly set to become the best-selling console of all time, and developers will want a piece of that market for years to come, even after the Switch successor releases. So I get it. It's just kind of frustrating to know that these games, however good they look and well they run, will probably be able to look much better very soon. Oh well, let's not get ourselves bogged down. Nearly 50 games got talked about today, so let's get started talking about what we saw and what I'm looking forward to most. And be sure to let me know what your favorite trailers were in the comments. While you're down there, don't be afraid to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I want to go out of order and start with the Partner Direct, because this will be a little faster and easier. I know this was the second of the 2 presentations, but it's okay. On the whole, these games were much less interesting to me than the Indie World games, so we'll save the best for last, shall we? Also, I'm not going to talk about every one of these games, since my opinion on so many of them is just not my thing, but it looks basically fine. Let's just grab the 5 trailers I have the most to say about. The first one is Star Overdrive, and it was easily my favorite trailer from the whole Partner Direct. I love a game with fun and dynamic traversal, and this colorful sci-fi adventure appears to have that in spades. It's not out until next year, which means it won't fill the ice skating in the future hole that Hyper Light Breaker was supposed to fill, but I'm definitely interested in getting my hands on this game. Next, let's jump to the Patrick Star game, and for those of you that liked Battle for Bikini Bottom, you'll be thrilled to know that this game is not only the best from the whole show, but a top contender for Game of the Year 2024 already. And that's all I have to say. Now, if you would, SpongeBob fans, cover up your ears for just 1 second. Nothing's wrong, my audio is acting up, just need a second to clear it off. Yes sirree. Phew, they're gone. Okay, this game looks fine, I guess, but we saw a lot of this kind of open world sandbox sim game today, and it's a genre I don't much care for. Plus, I also didn't really watch SpongeBob, so I don't have sentimental ties to the franchise. So this game doesn't look great to me. It also kind of doesn't look great in general, a bit framey with stiff animations and washed out colors. But hey, what do I know? Okay, welcome back SpongeBob fans. Audio's all sorted now, so we can move on. We saw a trailer for Civilization 7, and even though it's probably not for me, I do always love to see this game existing at all. It's been 9 years since the last one after all. It does look cool with figures from all of history and a little PvP strategy in the mix. I don't know how much of this is new to the franchise, but it's still neat to see. Next, the Castlevania Dominus collection was shadow dropped during the presentation. It's a collection of 3 Castlevania games from the DS now being ported to Switch. I've been waiting for a port of Symphony of the Night myself, which is still missing from the Switch bizarrely enough, but it's nice to see this series represented, since it's such an important foundation of gaming history. The ports look like just that, ports. I didn't play these games on the DS, but it does look like a straight port, no enhancements. The game over on the left and a couple of bottom screen style maps and status screens on the right. I don't know if I'll be buying this one, but it's nice to see it here. Finally, for the Partner Direct section, we saw Yakuza Kiwami, the remake of the very first Yakuza game, and it pretty much epitomizes why I wish they'd just get on with the Switch 2 reveal already. This game, already an 8-year-old port of a remake, looks positively dreadful on the Switch. Skipped frames and stutters in the presentation itself is a bad sign already, so I'm nervous to see what else would make it into the release. It's supposed to be a pretty good game, but I wouldn't play it on Switch. Overall, this half of the presentation was pretty dull for me. It's not that the games were bad or anything, but the number of games from this presentation that I'm going to consider buying at all is, well, 1. It was definitely weakened by coming after the indie world. Speaking of, Indie World. My interest in these games was a lot higher than those shown off in the partner direct. Again, that's not to say that these are necessarily better games, but they are better from me. We actually are going to talk about all of these, at least briefly, so buckle in. We started with a free update to the roguelite deck builder Balatro, which was definitely a weird choice. My hopes skyrocketed when I heard the voice of the Witcher protagonist Geralt, but that was just one of a handful of IP skins that this game is getting in the Friends of Jimbo update. I haven't gotten around to playing Balatro yet, but people have been raving over it, so I'm sure I'll give it a try at some point. Plus, I always like to see these IP collaborations. Next, we saw a trailer for Neva by Nomada Studio. These are the people that made Gris, or Grease, or Gree, or whatever, which a lot of people love. I positively detest Gree. If I made a list of my top 10 least favorite games today, Gree would be on it. I loved the art style, but found playing it so frustratingly, mind-numbingly boring. Neva does look like it takes a lot of inspiration from Gree, from art style to gameplay, so I'm not sure that I'll play this. It does look gorgeous though, I'll give it that. Moth Qubit followed, and it just might be the next game in the unofficial series of what if classic genre, but bugs, that has brought us such hits as Hollow Knight and Bug Fables. Kidding aside, this game does look genuinely interesting, a top-down RPG of corporate takeover through the eyes of a moth. I might just have to play this one. Then came a game I was very excited about, Coffee Talk Tokyo. Coffee Talk 2 featured at number 4 on my favorite games of 2023 video, so I'm on board with any games in this series. It looks very much like the same style of game, just a new locale with new characters and stories. I genuinely think this series of low fantasy coffee games could go on forever and not run out of ideas, so I'm absolutely thrilled to see a new game. It's set to release next year. Oh, and I don't know how else to fit this in, but it turns out that the name of their studio is pronounced Togi, not Toj, so apologies for getting that wrong last year. But that was followed up by an announcement that had me even more excited, the Sea of Stars DLC. We did know that Throes of the Watchmaker was in production already, but this DLC reveal looked so good. New areas, music, enemies, main characters are getting new attacks. Artie, a character from the main story, is going to become a party member. Plus, the DLC is going to be free. I was totally expecting this to be a paid expansion, but when this drops next spring, I'll be all over it. Alright, back down to earth. Power Wash Simulator is getting some Shrek DLC, which is cool for fans of the game. I'm not among them, unfortunately. Morsels came next, and this game looks equal parts cutesy and creepsy, which I absolutely love. It's a weird roguelike with multiple characters. Its pixel art is odd with Animal Well-esque skin lines and a lot of gameplay variety. It's on the docket for next February, so I'll be sure to keep my eye on this one. A game called Date Everything came next, and I'm just going to read directly from my notes I was taking during the presentation for this one. Note. After that was Peglin, which is a text-based dungeon crawler with RPG and pachinko elements, I guess? It sure is an interesting game, but it probably isn't for me. It does look like it was made with a lot of heart and care though. Wobbly Life was next, and it's another open-world sandbox sim game that just really isn't in my wheelhouse. I'd be curious to know what fans of this genre thought about all of these games that were announced today, but I don't even know how to judge this game, other than to say that I don't love the way it looks. Okay, this next one was pretty cool. Pico Park 2 is a 2D platformer designed specifically for multiplayer. It says that the whole game can be beat with as few as 2 players and as many as 8. Plus, it's shadow dropped, so you can play it like right now. I've not gotten around to any Shovel Knight games, but I'm always glad to see an indie series seeing success, so Shovel Knight Shovel of Hope DX was really neat. I definitely need to get into this series at some point. After that, we got the official release date for a game I'm very excited about. Europa is coming out on October 11th, and I've already set my calendar. I talked about this game in more detail when it was shown off at the Indie World way back in April. It looks great, and I really enjoyed the demo. I'm so looking forward to this one. Cuisinier came next, and the recipe for this one is 1 cup of roguelite dungeon crawling, 2 tablespoons of restaurant sim, and a dash of collectathon. This one isn't for me, but if it looks appetizing to you, someone help me please. It's out next January. The next trailer was On Your Tail, and even after rewatching the trailer a couple of times, I genuinely can't even tell you what genre this game is in. It looks most like a mystery game with exploration and sim aspects. There's cooking, a playable card game, and a diorama, and what even is this game? It's out in November, and I'll be following it just to learn what it is. Alright, we're on the home stretch now. Metal Slug Tactics is the second game from the Metal Slug franchise we've seen this year. The first one shadow dropped during the June Direct. I'm still not much interested in it, but it does look like a fun top-down strategy game if that's what you're into. The plucky squire looks really cute. It's a storybook game with the gimmick that you can pop out of the book and interact with the world around you. We didn't see a ton of gameplay, but this game just looked so adorable. I'll be keeping up with this one. Finally, the Indie Direct ended with a port of Pizza Tower. Now, this game came out last year and reviewers loved it. It's chaotic and wacky and just looks like an absolute blast. I'm definitely gonna give this one a try at some point. As I said at the beginning, it's just a bit underwhelming to hear about all of these possibly great games that inevitably are going to be held back by the Switch. Literally, all we would need is a thumbs up from Big M telling us that the Switch 2 will be backwards compatible with all Switch games, and we'd be good to go. Instead, these games are all being launched into limbo. The Switch is still selling, sure, and as I said, it's going to become the largest dedicated video game platform ever soon enough. But that just means that games coming out now will be overshadowed by both the past and the future of the console. It's a shame. Don't let that dissuade you from picking up any of these games that spoke to you though. There are some interesting picks from this show that I'm looking forward to quite a bit. They're almost all from the indie world half to be sure, but they still exist. Let me know what your favorite games from the show were down below. And if you enjoyed this event review, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I ran a poll on the community tab of the channel a while back, and Another Crab's Treasure was the winner, so that review will be the next video I release. You don't want to miss that one, or future polls, so get subscribed to see all of that. But that's all I've got for you today, so enjoy your day and take care.